Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks, and I'm here today with the LEGO Dimensions Gaming Capsule. This is item number 4080, ages 7 and up. This is available in the LEGO Dimensions aisle of your local toy store in the electronics section, and you can find this for about $15 in the United States. As of recording this video, I actually purchased this from Toys R Us when they had a 40% off deal on all Toys to Life accessories and storage units, so I got this for about $9 in the United States. If you were curious in checking it out in store, the barcodes for some reason are different from each other, and the one on the top is the one you actually want to scan. I found out that the one on the bottom is an error. I'm not really sure why it does that, but just moving on beyond that, irrelevant information aside, this is made by Prodit Perum Copenhagen. Oh, there it is, underneath, more English for me. Room Copenhagen. This is obviously a company that's near Denmark, and obviously would work well with LEGO. So, what we have here is a basic storage case that would hold any of your LEGO Dimensions packs and figures. I don't think it can hold any of the story packs or anything like that. You know, anything you would put on the toy base or the toy base itself. It's more just for the figures and such. So, on the front of this, you have a latch to open it up, and you have a whole bunch of compartments on the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 compartments. I've heard some people say that you can fit up to 16 figures in here, but that's one of the major things I wanted to do with this product and in this video. I'm going to test how much can you fit in here, even if it's a little bit tight. How much can you fit in here from LEGO Dimensions? As of recording this, I am up to wave 6 of the figures, hashtag all the parts, or all the packs or whatever. So I'm going to squeeze in as much as possible. I don't think fitting figures in here is going to be a big problem, because they don't take up a lot of space, even if you take them off of the bases. The bigger problem would come when we put in things like gadgets, because they vary in size and girth, so I would imagine they would fit in some of the larger components, but maybe in the smaller ones. It really depends on the different ones. We'll take a look at that, and it may not be in the studio here. I do have the whole LEGO Dimensions set up in another room, so excuse the quality from here on out. I'd also like to mention before we get up there that it does advertise that it can be stackable, and also have little studded area on the front of it, about a 4x6 plate worth. So you could actually design something on here. Maybe if you buy multiples of these, you could stack them on top of each other for convenience. And then identify what's in here just by this, if you couldn't, you know, see it from the side. It's kind of translucent, but not enough that you could see through the sides, mostly through the top and a little bit on the back. So let's go upstairs to the living room, where I have a little bit of a LEGO Dimensions display. And if you want to check out more LEGO Dimensions videos, you can always do that on the channel. There is a playlist for all kinds of LEGO Dimensions stuff. So here we are with the carry case fully packed. Now, I decided instead of doing this in a separate room, I would do it back here because there's a little bit better lighting and setup. So, what I have in here are about 18 different figures and gadgets, not including each of these individual discs that are shoved in there, that fill up the case. So it's more than the amount that I was expecting going into this, where I read that it was about 16. So that's actually pretty good. And I think that could probably be expanded for a couple of things. Number one, if you have just the figures bases in here instead of just the figures, you can fit a lot more into these cubbies. They are designed more for the figures than for the gadgets. I don't really think gadgets could fit in there that well. Maybe you could fit the TARDIS in there, but could be a little bit too tall for it. But you do essentially just need the bases for a lot of these in order to fit them onto the toy pad and use them in game. But I like keeping the figures with them because it just has a nice style to it. And for right now, I'm not really sure if I'm going to have a separate collection for some of these as far as display. So, it's a nice area, and it's nice to see them, you know, right on top of the portal. Next thing I'd like to note is that there are different sizes for gadgets and vehicles. As you can see, we have some, like the Adventure Time ones, the Ancient War Elephant and BMO are very large and very tall. So they take up a little bit more space compared to other models. That's why I decided this would be a good area to put them in compared to somewhere over here where maybe one of them might fit. Also, the Samurai Mech and the Cyborg Robot also seem to be taller and take up a bit more space, so that would probably be a good section for them as well. Or even just fitting one of them in each of these. But for what I have, it seemed to turn out pretty good for fitting a whole bunch in here at one time. So that way you don't have to buy as many of these carry cases as possible, so that you can store all of your collection inside of them, if you have all the packs, that is. If you had a little bit less than that, then it'd be easier, you know. So I also thought it would be nice to rearrange these by theme. Not only do we have Adventure Time up here, but we have like stylish cars in this area for Midway Arcade and Mission Impossible. We have time machines down here. Yes, I know the train is separate, but I couldn't fit all three of them in there. So I thought I'd fit the DeLorean and the TARDIS in here. And then we have both of our Ghostbusters Ecto-1 vehicles. And up here is actually, it's hard to see because of the sticker, or the printed area in the way of LEGO Dimensions logo, is the TV from Homer from The Simpsons, and the Sentry Robot from Portal 2. Other than that, just a whole bunch of bases and characters in here in no particular order. I think at a later time I'll rearrange this as far as, you know, the ones I really want to keep intact. I think that's probably one of the best things about this case, is that it keeps everything intact. I've shaken this around a couple of times, and everything stays put. It doesn't shake, it doesn't have a lot of loose space. You know, this seal holds tightly, so it won't be a problem as far as carrying it around or shuffling it, and it won't break any of the figures or vehicles apart. And, yes, subject to vary based on the vehicles that you have in there, but for the most part, this seems pretty good. I've even had them in a separate case. They'd normally be in a cardboard box. It's not really a good idea, because if they do get shuffled around, and depending on what's on top of them, they might just smash into pieces unintentionally. So, I might actually put a lot more fragile models inside of here. There are a whole bunch of the Ninjago Dragons from Sensei Wu and Lloyd that probably could fit in here, because they are a lot more fragile, a lot easier to break from my experience. And as far as figures, like I said before, I think I just might stick the bases in there if I find a use for the figures themselves in other places. But for right now, I'll keep them as is. As far as which figures in here, well, I'll talk more about that in a separate video. Because I'm planning on a separate video to talk about my favorite parts of LEGO Dimensions, as in, like, my top, say, 5 to 10 figures and 5 to 10 gadgets. But that will be for another video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this case. Would you pick up multiples of these to store all of your LEGO Dimensions accessories and figures? Would you modify how I did this so that it'll fit more, or even store them a lot better and keep them, you know, less fragile? I have heard of some people, I know Jang Bricks has done a thing where he'll reduce the size of each of these builds so that it not only will it fit in these cases better, but also it'll fit onto the toy pad better. That way, it's a lot easier to move them in and out of game as you need them. And I agree with that. I just haven't done so myself, because it takes a little bit more of engineering to get the idea of, you know, what this model looks like on a smaller scale than what's already built. And I kind of like the models the way they are, especially a lot of these cars. But, I digress. We'll see you next time with more LEGO videos and more LEGO Dimensions to come on the channel. And, hopefully we'll get to Wave 6 shortly after this, so, see you later.